There is a silent spot inside you, a place that no visualization, no affirmation, no mental ritual has managed to fill. You've already tried to imagine your perfect life, repeated phrases in front of the mirror, mentalize the house, the love, the abundance. But upon opening your eyes, the world looks the same. It's as if an invisible wall is standing between you and what you wish to live. This wall is not made of bricks, but of something even denser, hidden patterns, subtle vibrations, a frequency that insists on repeating the old cycle. You feel as if life is moving in circles, as if every effort to change always ends at the same starting point. The feeling is of walking on a road that never advances, only curves back to where it came from. It is at this moment, when the weight of frustration seems greater than hope, that a question whispers from the depths of your being. What if I'm looking in the wrong place? Because perhaps the problem is not in what you imagine, but in the silent field where everything is registered. A field that is not absence, is not dead emptiness, is not idle space. It is the quantum vacuum, the invisible womb of the universe, where everything forms before manifesting. This vacuum does not hear words, does not see images, is not impressed by repetitions. It reads frequencies. It absorbs the vibrational coherence you sustain when no one is looking. It is like an invisible, but impartial mirror. It doesn't reflect what you want. It reflects what you are in essence. Few understand this mystery. Many enter this field as beggars, demanding results, repeating mentalizations, hoping that a distant future will come as a reward. But the vacuum does not negotiate. It does not measure intentions. It reads states. The one who dwells in it with vibrational integrity sees doors open where before there were only walls. The void calls you. It is a silent but irresistible call. It does not promise easy shortcuts, does not guarantee immediate answers. It demands surrender, demands alignment, demands that you become the signal before wanting to receive the result. And this is where the revelation begins. Understanding that the frustration you carry is not punishment. It is a symptom of misalignment between desire and identity. Perhaps you thought that visualizing was enough. Perhaps you believed that repeating phrases would be sufficient. Perhaps you convinced yourself that intensity of will would change your destiny. But the vacuum does not respond to the force of wanting. It responds to the delicacy of the frequency. Before we dive deeper, I want to give you a simple but essential invitation. Before we continue, if this video is already bringing you clarity, take the opportunity to subscribe, leave your like, and share in the comments how this theme resonates with you. Now, take a deep breath. Imagine this void not as a threat but as a matrix, not as absence but as pure potential. It is a silent field, yes, but a fertile silence, pregnant with possibilities. And it is exactly in this field that your life can be born anew. The void that calls you is not a cruel destiny. It is the call of your own quantum awakening. The field doesn't read images, it reads coherence. You must have heard countless times that the key to transforming reality lies in visualizing with intensity, repeating mental images, creating detailed scenarios, imagining yourself already living what you desire. And, in fact, this practice has its value, but by itself, it is not enough. Because the quantum vacuum, this silent field that registers and sustains all realities, does not respond to images projected by the mind. It responds to the vibrational state you embody. This is the root of so much frustration. Someone can spend months visualizing abundance, seeing themselves in grand houses, driving new cars, traveling the world. However, if upon opening their eyes the vibration the body sustains is one of scarcity, worry, and fear, the vacuum does not capture the mental image. It only receives the continuous frequency of lack. It is like sending a message in a language the field does not understand. The vacuum does not register mental pictures. It reads vibrational coherence. It perceives what the entire body transmits. The emotional tone, the chemistry generated by thoughts, the energetic patterns stabilized in the nervous system. This is what reverberates as a signal. Think of two examples. Abundance versus scarcity. You can visualize yourself prosperous every morning. But if when paying a bill your body contracts, if the fear of tomorrow invades, if your heart races with anxiety, what the vacuum registers is not the desired abundance, but the vibrated scarcity, love versus rejection. You can imagine a perfect relationship, write love letters for the future, but if in the pit of your chest dwells the pain of rejection, If every gesture is driven by the attempt to compensate for the lack, the field does not respond to the image of love, but to the vibration of loneliness. Expansion versus imprisonment. You can mentalize opportunities, travel, new horizons. But if the internal narrative is one of incapacity, of I am not enough, of I have no choice, the energy emitted is one of imprisonment, and it is this imprisonment that is replicated in the mirror of the vacuum. This is the reason why so many visualization practices end in frustration. Because the mental images are beautiful, but the body vibrates at another frequency, and the vacuum does not respond to what we ask for, it responds to what we are in a continuous state. The quantum field is neutral. It does not judge, does not punish, does not reward. It merely reflects with mathematical perfection that which is maintained as an energetic signature. Therefore, it is useless to desire the new if the identity remains anchored in the old. Here arises the fundamental notion: vibrational identity. What molds reality is not what you dream, but who you are vibrationally at the most intimate level. And this is not about a fleeting belief or a thought repeated with effort. It is about the state of being that you sustain day after day. If the mind says, I am abundant, but the body vibrates fear of losing, a conflict exists. This conflict creates static, and the vacuum can only register the static, returning incoherent experiences. It is as if the field were saying, I cannot collapse a clear reality, because you do not emit a clear frequency. You send me two opposite messages. This is the root of delay, blockage, and pattern repetition. It is not that the vacuum is against you, it is that it can only respond to what is coherent. It needs a pure signal. Therefore, the first step to understanding the quantum awakening is not to desire stronger, is not to imagine with more detail. It is to align identity and desire. It is to realize that the body, the breath, the emotions, and the thoughts must vibrate the same frequency. Visualization, alone, is like painting a canvas without paint. It is beautiful in the imagination, but it has no vibrational weight in the field. What gives substance to the picture is vibrational coherence, the real paint that the vacuum understands. This is the key to the diagnosis. The fault is not in you. It is not in your ability to imagine, but in the way you learn to relate to the field. From here, everything changes. Because when you understand that it is not about seeing more, but about vibrating differently, you find the door that so many sought. The secret code: inhabiting the frequency up. To this point, we have seen why isolated visualization does not yield the expected results. The vacuum does not read images, but frequencies. Now, we arrive at the most revealing point. What is the hidden code that the vacuum truly recognizes? Most people believe the secret lies in desiring stronger, in intensifying the force of intention, in multiplying requests to the universe. But the vacuum is not a spiritual ATM, where more insistence generates more result. It is pure potential, waiting for the collapse through the correct frequency. Imagine a silent ocean, vast, formless. There rests the possibility of all waves, but nothing rises until a specific vibration touches its surface. The vacuum is like this. It has no preferences, no inclinations, no hierarchies. It is a neutral field, but loaded with creative power. It is the invisible womb of the universe, the cosmic belly where every reality is gestated. And like every womb, it does not evaluate the beauty of the intention, but the integrity of the seed. The seed can be small, discreet, almost imperceptible, but if it carries coherence, it develops. Similarly, the vacuum does not need you to shout, force, or insist. It merely reads your energetic signature, what you are when the world does not observe, what the body sustains even without conscious effort. This is the revelation. The vacuum does not weigh intentions. It reads frequencies. It does not measure desires. It measures identities. It does not distinguish between good or bad. It merely reflects that which vibrates with stability. The quantum awakening is precisely remembering that you are already in this field. There is no barrier between you and the vacuum. The field is not distant. It surrounds every cell, crosses every breath, sustains every thought. The sensation of distance is created only by the mind that projects the future. When you pursue the future, you reinforce the idea that you do not yet possess what you desire. This pursuit generates vibrational scarcity. The vacuum then registers the frequency of distance, and this distance is repeated. But when you decide to inhabit the now, when you choose to feel in the present as if you were already complete, something extraordinary happens. The collapse of reality occurs immediately, not because you forced it, but because you entered into coherence with the field. It is like the difference between running after the light and lighting a flame within yourself. While running, the light moves away. When you light it, the light expands. The hidden code of the vacuum is not wanting, is not desiring, is not insisting. The code is inhabiting the frequency. This is the reason why so many spiritual masters talk about presence, about awareness of the now, about resting in silence. They understood, even without scientific language, that the vacuum does not bend to the force of the ego, but to the rhythm of the essence. Inhabiting the frequency does not mean denying visible reality, nor pretending that pain does not exist. It means choosing not to be defined by it. It is looking at what is happening around and deciding to maintain within yourself the vibration of what you wish to anchor. When the body learns to vibrate abundance, even in the face of visible scarcity, the field begins to reflect that abundance. When the heart vibrates love, even before finding a relationship, the field begins to reflect encounters, connections, and signals. When the mind rests in expansion, even in limited circumstances, the field begins to open unexpected paths. This is the hidden code. The vacuum does not respond to the scream, but to the silent song. It does not respond to the distressed request, but to the tranquil certainty. It does not respond to desperate effort, but to the natural state of one who has already recognized what they are. This revelation changes everything, because it shows that the power was never in intensifying the wanting, but in softening into the being. It is not the struggle to manifest. It is the remembrance of already being inside the field that manifests. Therefore, take a deep breath. Feel this invisible womb around you. Imagine yourself not as someone who asks, but as someone who already is, and perceive how the silence of the vacuum suddenly becomes a perfect mirror of your state of being. To become before receiving there is a subtle misconception that imprisons many spiritual seekers. The idea that they must act as if, pretend, force a mask of confidence, repeat phrases they don't feel, smile when their heart is in ruins inside. But the quantum vacuum is not fooled by pretense. It does not respond to the disguise. It responds to the authentic vibration. Acting as if is a useful but temporary imagination exercise. Inhabiting the frequency is something much deeper. It is teaching the body to sustain what the soul already knows. It is training every cell to recognize as natural that which previously seemed impossible. The true quantum awakening is not convincing yourself that one day you will have it, but choosing to be now. It is not about seeking external proof, but about becoming the internal proof. When you vibrate as abundance, even before receiving, the field collapses abundance around you. When you vibrate as love, before finding someone, the field returns encounters, connections, unexpected smiles. The awakening is, therefore, a process of vibrational re-education. It is not achieved in a single leap, but in daily micro-decisions. The way you breathe in the face of fear, the posture you assume in the face of challenges, the words you speak when no one is listening, the reaction you choose when something doesn't go as expected. These small choices build a coherent vibrational body. Every gesture, every breath, every word can be a silent password sent to the vacuum. And when this password is consistent, the field responds. Perhaps you think, but how can I sustain a frequency that I don't yet see in the external world? The answer is in the body. It is there that you train, it is there that you anchor. By slowing down your breath, adjusting your posture, allowing yourself to feel gratitude before the proof, you are teaching your nervous system that it can already inhabit a new state. This training is not imaginary, it is physical. It's like teaching a musical instrument to play a new melody. At first it sounds strange, but with repetition, the music flows naturally. The body becomes the tuned instrument of awakening, and when the body learns, the mind rests. You no longer need to fight against thoughts, no longer need to wage internal war. The nervous system itself, trained, stabilizes the new frequency, and the vacuum, which responds only to coherence, begins to reflect this new state with mathematical precision. The quantum awakening is liberating because it does not depend on external proof. It does not wait for the world to change so that you can feel. It changes the world because you felt first. It is the radical inversion of common logic. It is not receiving that brings the being. It is the being that attracts the receiving. This is the essence, to become before receiving, not as an act of pretense, but as a process of remembrance. You are not creating something from nothing. You are recalling what has always been possible in the field, but was awaiting the correct vibrational collapse. Therefore, take a deep breath at this moment. Feel that the awakening is not distant. It is not a promise for tomorrow. It happens now, in the exact moment you decide to inhabit the frequency instead of just desiring it. To become is the beginning. To receive is only a consequence. The coherence test. Identity and desire. There is a crucial point that determines whether the vacuum responds or remains silent. The coherence between identity and desire. It is at this junction that many stumble, because they desire one thing but vibrate another. The mind asks for abundance, but the body vibrates fear. The mouth affirms love, but the heart pulses rejection. The field does not respond to what is divided. The quantum vacuum functions like a high-precision cosmic mirror. It does not return what you would like to be, but what you truly are in a continuous state. When there is internal conflict, a kind of energetic static arises, a confusing message sent to the field. And the vacuum, being neutral, can only reflect confusion. It's like trying to tune a radio station. If the frequency is misaligned, what arrives is not clear music, but noise. Similarly, when identity and desire are not fused, the result is vibrational noise. The mind can shout, "I want to be prosperous." But if the body maintains the memory of scarcity, if every gesture expresses worry, the vacuum only reflects the frequency of lack. The mind can ask, "I want to be loved." But if the heart carries the wound of abandonment, if the posture is one of self-defense, the field only replicates isolation. That is why the quantum awakening is not an exercise in desire, it is an exercise in identity. The vacuum responds to the coherence of who you are. That's why the phrase echoes so strongly. The vacuum does not respond to your wanting. It responds to your certainty. This certainty is not born of a fleeting thought, but of a consolidated vibrational state. It is the moment when you not only desire something, but you dress, speak, and move as someone who already lives it. It is the complete fusion between desire and identity. Think of someone who desires abundance. While desiring, they still vibrate distance. But when they incorporate abundance into their posture, their words, their way of breathing and walking, the vibration changes. The field reads this coherence and responds immediately. This is the test of the vacuum. It reveals, without judgment, whether you are whole in what you ask for. There is no way to deceive it. The field does not bow to superficial intentions. It demands vibrational integrity. Therefore, the invitation is not to desire more, but to become. It is not to repeat words, but to align body, mind, and spirit in a single signal. When identity and desire merge, the vacuum has no choice. It collapses the corresponding reality. This is the silent power of awakening. It is not convincing the field. It is anchoring yourself in the state where there is no difference between what you are and what you ask for. At that point, asking is no longer necessary because being is already the answer. The code of alignment. When vibrational alignment begins to happen, the field finds subtle ways to signal it. One of these ways, recognized in different spiritual traditions, is the language of numbers. Among them, 777 stands up like a lighthouse, not as superstition, but as an echo of the vacuum, a reflection that your frequency has found coherence. You might be walking down the street and suddenly notice the sequence on a car license plate. It might be at the exact time on a clock, on a receipt, in a bank account, in a seemingly banal detail. But deep down, you feel it's not chance. It is as if the field has whispered, "I am hearing you. Continue." The number 7, since ancient times, is a number of completeness. 7 days that complete a cycle. 7 notes that form a scale. 7 colors that reveal the spectrum of light. 7 is totality, is order, is revelation. When it appears in triple and 757, the message is one of stabilized coherence. It is not just an isolated signal. It is confirmation that body, mind, and spirit are vibrating in unison. The vacuum, in this sense, uses the language of numbers as a reflection, not to predict the future, but to confirm the present. It is not a guarantee that everything will change magically tomorrow, but certainty that you are now vibrating on the correct axis. Therefore, when 777 appears, do not interpret it as a distant promise. See it as an immediate mirror. It is the field responding. Remain in this state because it is in it that the collapse happens. This number is a reminder that you are not alone. It is the vibrational signature that the alignment has already begun. It is not a blessing that comes from outside, but a reflection of what you already sustain within. Many spiritual traditions associate the seven with divine perfection, the fulfillment of the plan, rest after creation. The 777 is, therefore, the reaffirmation that you have entered the right rhythm of life, where there is no more desperate effort, only flow. This is where the awakening gains collective strength, because when more people align themselves, the field becomes more accessible, more available, more fertile. It is as if the vibration of one sustains the vibration of the other, creating a network of resonance. Therefore, I invite you now, if you feel this call, declare 777 in the comments. Not as superstition, but as a code of alignment. This declaration is not to please the algorithm, nor to reinforce vanity. It is a vibrational act. It is you saying to the field, I recognize the echo, I am in tune. By writing 777, you anchor an invisible signal in the visible world. You transform into a gesture what the heart already vibrates, and in doing so, you reinforce the collapse of reality towards that which already dwells within you. The number, therefore, is not magic in itself. It is reflection. It is a reminder. It is a seal that the vacuum is responding to your frequency. When 777 appears again, and it will appear, do not see it merely as a coincidence. Close your eyes, take a deep breath and say, I already am. Because that is the deepest message the field is returning. You already are. The process of sustaining. The stability of being. The quantum awakening is not a single event that happens suddenly and ends. It is not a lightning bolt that crosses the soul and solves everything in an instant. The awakening is a process, and like every process, it demands sustenance. You can feel the alignment once. You can experience the vibration of abundance in a moment of meditation. You can touch the fertile silence of the vacuum during a deep practice. But immediately afterward, the old identity will try to pull you back. It whispers with the voice of the past. This is an illusion. Nothing has changed. You are still trapped. This is where the real test begins. Because the field does not only respond to flashes, it responds to repetition. The vacuum collapses realities according to the frequency that is sustained, not just the one that is visited. To sustain means choosing every day to remain in the void. It means training the body and mind not to fall into the automatism of the old. It means noticing when an old thought tries to regain control and consciously choosing another one. It is not an exhaustive fight, but a continuous practice. It is not brute force, but repeated delicacy. The power is in one more breath, in an extra second of consciousness, in a silent choice. It is in this small space between stimulus and response that the future is transformed. The old identity is persistent. It carries years of habit, memories impregnated in the cells, familiar cultural, social narratives. It doesn't disappear in a day, but each time you choose to remain in the new state, it loses strength. It's like erasing an old path in the forest and opening a new trail. At first it's difficult, but with repetition, the fresh path becomes natural. Sustaining does not mean living in constant euphoria. Awakening does not seek adrenaline, it seeks peace. Because true vibrational stability is not a momentary explosion, it is a continuous repose. It is the feeling that you no longer need to run after the future, because you are already anchored in the now. That is why so many give up. They confuse awakening with ecstasy. They seek intense emotions and believe that without them, there is no transformation. But awakening is not measured by the intensity of the emotion, but by the stability of the being. When you start to sustain the void, the external life may even resist. Old circumstances may still repeat themselves. People may still act according to previous patterns. But inside you, something has already changed. And it is this something that, with time, bends the external reality. Sustaining occurs in simple practices. A conscious breath when anxiety tries to dominate, a gesture of gratitude amidst doubt, a word chosen calmly instead of an automatic reaction, an upright posture when the body wants to shrink. Every small act is a brick in the building of the new identity, and with time, this building becomes solid enough that nothing external can tear it down. The process of sustaining also teaches us humility, because it is not about reaching a final point, but about always remaining in adjustment. The vacuum is a living, dynamic, pulsating field. It responds to what we are now, not to what we were yesterday. Therefore, the practice is continuous. There is no final diploma, no certificate. There is only the eternal invitation, remain. And by remaining, you discover that you are not pursuing the future. You are not running after external proof. You are simply anchoring, moment after moment, the vibrational state that is already yours. At this point, inner peace is born. No longer the agitation of one running in circles, but the serenity of one who knows, I am already at home in the void. The final ritual, you are the quantum awakening. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe deeply. Feel the air entering and leaving, not just as a biological function, but as a bridge to the invisible. Every inhalation is the vacuum moving inside you. Every exhalation is the universe reorganizing around you. The quantum field is not outside. It pulses in every cell, vibrates in every beat of your heart. The quantum awakening is not convincing the universe to hear you. It is not negotiating with external forces. It is not begging for signs. It is remembering who you already are. You are not a visitor to the vacuum. You are an inseparable part of it. You do not merely look at the field. You are the field looking at itself. Everything you were looking for out there, proofs, answers, confirmations, has always been within. Because when you become the signal, the field bends into coherence. Reality does not come from outside in. It blossoms from inside out. Allow yourself to feel this now. Breathe and feel that the void is not absence but fullness. It is not dead silence but a fertile womb. It is not a threat but a cradle. When you rest in this perception, a profound peace invades. Because there is no longer anything to conquer, only something to remember. You already are. And upon remembering, everything changes. Fear loses strength because the vacuum does not sustain narratives of imprisonment. Anxiety dissolves because the field only recognizes the now. Loneliness disappears because you realize you were never separated. This is the ritualistic closing, to recognize yourself as vacuum, as source, as awakening. No longer waiting for something to come, but breathing, knowing that it has already arrived. No longer running after, but walking in certainty. No longer asking, but being grateful for already being. If this video found you at the right time, it is not a coincidence. It is the vacuum responding to your own vibration. It is the field returning the signal you emitted, guiding you here. Therefore, do not see these words as chance. See them as a mirror. You arrived here because you were already ready to listen, already ready to anchor, already ready to sustain. Subscribe and stay connected, not out of obligation, but because we are anchoring this frequency together. This is a collective call, not of external voices, but of vibrations that resonate in unison. Take one more deep breath. Feel the presence of the vacuum in your body, in your heart, in your consciousness, and silently declare, I am the quantum awakening. Because in the end, that is the deepest truth. You are not separate from the field. You are the field itself. You do not wait for the miracle. You are the miracle. And upon recognizing this, the entire universe bows in coherence.